Outside of Colorado, this is Josh. I'm the DJ of the morning show that goes on 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., but we're breaking in right now because we have a wonderful guest in the studio. Guest we actually haven't hung out with in a little while, which is very nice to have him back in.
No, we're also busy.
We're also very busy. It's
a good problem.
This is the second interview in our new live location, which is very nice. So, I'm just waiting for our producer to give me the thumbs up, and then we can get started here. And we are all good. I'm also sitting here, of course, you heard Sarah's voice. Sarah, our Vice President K4CO. How was your hot day out?
Hot.
Yeah, exactly. It's very hot.
I spent the majority of the day inside, kind of purposely. But yeah, it was good. Met up with some people, did networking as my usual day goes. And
nice.
Yeah, it was great.
Thank you.
Our new studio is looking pretty fabulous, I must say.
It is.
Knocked it out of the park.
And if you're listening on K4CO Radio, you can also, so you know, our interviews are on all of our social media platforms. This includes Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, all of that fun stuff. If you want to see our pretty faces, you can tune in there. And if you are doing that, you can also comment. And if you have any questions or anything like that, or boys, you can definitely just comment, and our producer Sabino will let me know. But Sarah, who do we have in our wonderful office for our second interview in our new place?
We have the infamous Brett with us, and he's the owner of IT1 Services. How are you?
I am extraordinary.
You're extraordinary. Wow. How do I get to that level?
You wake up on the right side of the dirt and choose to live.
Okay. I've never heard that expression
You
before.
always have these fun expressions, I gotta say.
I know.
Do you just have
awesome.
a book of expressions that you just memorized? Or
Yes, they've been tattooed on somewhere else.
Okay.
Don't
All
need
right.
to know. Yeah.
I put them on the back of my head so I can look in the mirror.
Very awesome.
I like it. I like
Cool.
it.
I wanted to make sure that I mention the phone number and the website for those of you that are watching online. And again, definitely jump on K4CO Radio's Facebook and let us know if you have questions. Brett is a master and an absolute expert in the computer world. So I know we're going to delve into a lot of this stuff, but a lot of hacking has been going on. Emails have been hacked into, servers. I mean, it's been kind of a crisis.
Everybody's afraid.
Well, not be afraid. I mean, just protect yourself. And so Brett will tell you how to do that. So please chime in. We're very interactive. So again, get on Facebook or Instagram. You can go to IT1, and it's the number 1, service.com, and look at all the different services, which are consulting, managed services, website design, hardware, cloud communication, you name it. If it can plug in once, I think you told us, you can fix it, which is very fascinating.
What if it takes batteries?
Yep.
All right. Sounds good.
Even if it takes batteries, ladies and gentlemen, Brett will figure out a way to fix
There was
it.
a movie about that.
Batteries not included? Great movie.
Oh, nice.
Great movie. Little flying objects.
Yes.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So again, it's it1service.com, or you can call Brett at 720-464-2295. So, well, how have you been? It has been a hot minute, pun intended, since we've seen you.
Well, it's been a hot minute. It's been hot, thank God.
Yes.
It's been wonderful. Business grows, life moves on. I actually had an old friend from 35 years ago found one of our interviews in Anaheim, California.
Okay.
And called me this week while I was down on my land. And it's like, well, do you remember me? And I'm like, do I get hit if I don't? And he's like, no. I remember we all used to hang out, you and me and Randy and Wayne. I'm like, Rob, yeah, vaguely. So we start talking, and he's like, I obviously knew my partners and stuff, and it was a riot. So
That's awesome.
Connected with somebody who I had not seen or remembered in 35 years.
Good. Was this more of a personal relationship, or okay, not a work thing? Okay.
Well, I mean, he used to come and hang out at work, so
okay,
there
a
was
mixture of
probably some
both.
work there, but yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that we're reaching to California. That
Yeah.
makes me very happy.
that was I was like, hello? Who?
Look at this. See, we're relationship building all over the
That's
place.
what we do.
Well,
Exactly. I wrote that today in an email. It's about the relationship building. Yes.
Yeah, I do want to give a plug. There's a So I think I've said before, I ride motorcycles.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up a BMW a year and a half ago. and it was just terrible. I hated the bike. And I put 164 miles on it in a year. It's just bad. Didn't like it. And I went in, and BMW of Denver traded me out completely. So it didn't make me suffer for the choice of a bike I didn't like. And I bought a different one, and riding dirt is very different from riding street. So I went out, and I was referred to a gal named Candy Spangler, iCandy.com, IKANDI.
Okay.
And she does .com, I think, and she teaches off-road dirt biking. And she's all of 5'1" or 2, so she's very small on a very tall bike. And I spent 2 days the weekend before last learning how not to fall on my ass. Rear end. And I rode down to my land last weekend, which I have not done on a bike because I have to ride on 7 miles of dirt, and so I don't take my Harley on dirt. And but I did this, and I was riding in through deep sand that she hadn't trained me on, and I of course fell down and couldn't get up because the sand kept moving as I kept trying to pull the bike up. So somebody stopped and helped me, and I called her. I sent her a text, and I said, "Hey, I fell, and I got up, and how do I do this so I don't fall again?" And she told me. She goes, reminded me of some things, and when I rode out, I was able to not fall, which was great. So she's just a wonderful teacher.
Nice.
Really
Well, shout out to Candy.
Yeah.
All right.
It's always good to not fall too.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't ride,
The
so-
BMWs, they're kind of made to fall.
I've never ridden one. I've never ridden a BMW. I've ridden a lot.
Let me know. We'll take you out and let you ride mine.
All right.
This might be a silly question. Why are they made to fall?
Because when you're on dirt surfaces or not road,
Yeah.
the quantity of contact with the tires is less.
Right.
So the surfaces, so they fall.
Okay.
You can't stay up all the time if you try to ride really fast, or you try to ride different types of riding. You can fall. So the bikes that I'm riding are adventure bikes. They're on-road, off-road, and they come literally with frames around all the breakable pieces, so that you drop them, you just get up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I know nothing about bikes, but
I was just very impressed. She's a wonderful teacher. She does lots of trainings. She's just great.
Very cool.
And she's very big on social media, which I'm not.
Okay. Well, a shout out to Candy. Hey, if you can nudge, wink, wink into social media, we'd love that too. Well, a lot's been going on in the computer world.
Lots.
I mean, hacking is probably the biggest thing that I've been seeing.
Yep.
What else are you seeing in the world going on?
Lots and lots of phishing scams, email takeovers, device takeovers. Like I've said, I've got a couple of clients who've had their lives ruined by people taking over their devices, and then they literally, for years, cannot move forward because the banks they're completely done. Other clients who take their devices out of the country and then get on the internet and get hacked. Just had one of our clients got hacked and didn't know how to get out of it, and we're able to square that away.
Okay.
But there's been a large hack that got put out a couple of weeks ago, millions of passwords, and it's not necessary. I mean, those are usually used within 48 hours, but millions take a little longer to use.
What company was this from?
Microsoft and Google.
Microsoft and Google.
Yeah, so if you have a password, change it. If you choose a strong password, don't choose a passphrase, not a password.
Okay.
Takes a lot longer to break them, and change them every 90 to 180 days. So 3 to 6 months.
You had mentioned this in a previous interview, but I thought that this was very interesting. I mean, everyone I know has a password, but it's usually a word with numbers and
Bob 32573
Yeah,
exclamation.
Exactly,
Yeah,
but
that
you
takes-
actually like a
that
full
takes a
phrase.
password cracker about a minute and a half to break.
And you think so? A phrase that is
A phrase is
6 to
it's a Boolean phrase, so it requires thought to put the words together.
okay.
So that's why it takes longer.
So is it like I went to the store today, or is it I want to ride a pink dragon to Japan?
I think
You
those
could
both
do
of them
that.
work. Yeah.
Those would both work. I would suggest upper and lower case,
Okay.
and some numbers and a character. Lots of people will use sentence case backwards. They'll leave their caps lock on.
Okay.
Anything you can do to avoid ease of use. Bob123, or if your company is K4CO Radio, you don't use the password K4AZ Radio.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to think of something that is very diverse from what your normal life is,
Right.
because all of your information is out on the internet, has been since you were born,
Yep.
at these nowadays. And so all that information is easy to find,
Yeah.
if you're looking.
And a lot of people I know, they kind of do, a whole big just jumble of like
Right, they call
percentage
that
sign,
right,
one,
they call that
dollar
strong
sign.
password.
They call it a strong password.
Yeah.
So that's one thing you would recommend. Or no. Okay.
I only recommend passwords.
Only recommend
strong
pass-
passwords are exactly the same. They're computer-generated passwords.
Right.
And
Exactly.
if it's a generated password, in my opinion, and every geek has one, if a computer can generate it, then a computer can break it.
So I want to throw this out. I wasn't even planning on talking about this, but there's a lot of password companies out there, like 1Password, or
Yeah, 1Pass,
and
so forth.
they create passwords for all your different logins.
They can. They tend to use strong passwords.
So is this not necessarily a great thing, possibly to use?
It's better than Bob1234 pound sign.
Right. It's not the strongest, but it's definitely better than.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the more characters you use, I use a product called RoboForm, it's $20 a year.
Yep, I've heard that. Yep.
And, it goes to all your devices, and it's relatively simple. And you can keep identities and credit cards and passwords and all these different things on there. But with that one, you have, when it started out, you had a master password, and that's the only password you have to remember.
Exactly, because it completes all the other ones.
Correct.
Exactly.
It
Yeah.
stores all the others.
Yep.
And in the first couple of years, you could, if you forgot that password, your account was just
Done.
unusable.
Right.
They have since, a few years ago, put in a recovery email, that you can put in a recovery email, but you can't do it unless you have that master password.
Right.
So that if you're, if you want your spouse, if you die, to be able to get access to your passwords, you can put her email or his email or their email as the recovery, and then
So now, like, she wouldn't need to have the master password. She
Correct.
has that email in there. Gotcha.
correct.
Gotcha.
Because that would be the recovery email. So you basically just call them and say hi, or go online and
Right.
this is the email, his email, but and they say, okay, what's your recovery email? And it's on there. My brother's email is my recovery email, and he's my attorney of record, and all the things when I'm dead and all that stuff.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Well, if you are just tuning in, if you've been hacked, if you have a scam going on any of your computer or any of your devices, now is the time to reach out on IT1service.com. Give Brett a call. I know this was rampant, like truly millions of passwords were stolen. I mean, I got notified on every single thing that I've had. It's like, if you are in jeopardy, go in and change your password immediately. So
Right.
that's really important.
So the latest we were discussing Google and Microsoft.
yeah.
Yes.
And
Millions.
there's a lot of different ways and paths for protection, because attacks come from multiple positions. They come from the internet. They come through a provider. They come via your email, via a website, via many places. So, companies used to sell devices, still do, that they call VPN firewalls. Well, they're not really firewalls, and while they're VPNs, virtual private network, they're only allowing you access to your stuff from externally. So if you're going to invest in a firewall, which all businesses of any size should, try not to go for the least expensive, and make sure that they're continually updated and managed and so on and so forth. I do 3 manufacturers, though there are about 50. I just choose them because they're very good at support. The devices are the clients. I just manage them. So if I croak, you have your stuff.
What are the 3 you recommend?
So I use Sophos, Fortinet, and WatchGuard.
How about is Norton?
Norton is so Symantec, which owns Norton.
Okay.
They do make a physical firewall, large yellow box. That's their color, but that's around 15 grand.
Wow.
Oh,
Well, and that's
okay.
their smallest firewall. Yeah,
Okay, I don't think I have that, but I have something.
They don't make desktop firewalls.
Okay.
Or smaller company firewalls. Those are, again, just 4. You've got SonicWall, which I don't recommend mainly because it got bought by Dell, and Dell's service is terrible. It is. It's just annoying. You get online, you're going to spend an hour and a half just talking to somebody who's from another country with a terrible accent that you can't understand and can't get resolution in any reasonable time frame. There are ones that the government uses. There are ones that high-end security companies use. The problem with most corporations and why why passwords get stolen is because corporations have always seen IT as a cost center. We have to buy computers for people to use. We have to put this security in place, otherwise people can't do their work.
Right.
And they see it as a cost center, and they've always addressed it as such. And when I was C-suite level in that arena, same thing. And one of the reasons I didn't survive very long there is because I would stand up in meetings and saying, "You're stupid." Technology is most definitely a profit center. If you don't have technology, then you're done. If you don't put the security behind or in front of your environments, you open yourself up. But they're run by bean counters who judge, okay, if we get hacked, we lose X millions of dollars, versus if we put up, the multiple levels of security and maintenance and all the things that go with that, we're going to spend X millions of dollars. So what's our chance of loss?
It's kind of like the insurance thing. Are we going to fix this? Are we going to do a recall, or are we just going to let it go?
Right, and
it's
that's
kind of the same thing.
And California lost the ability to insure because insurance companies just went, it costs too much. We're not doing this anymore.
Right. Exactly.
Most of the homes, not most. My understanding is some of the homes in the Palisades fires simply weren't insured, so they just lost everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking about firewalls and everything too, just a quick question. So there's times when a program says you need to remove your firewall or grant access through your firewall or anything like that.
If you don't know the person accessing or acting or asking for that access, then hang up the phone, turn off the device, and
Turn
call
off
somebody
your
you trust.
computer. Gotcha.
What if this is something online, if you're downloading it and you
If you're downloading something and you don't know 100% that it is perfectly safe to you, then turn off the computer, call somebody you know. It's that simple.
I don't know
It's
if
a
I
good rule
ever
of thumb,
know
yeah.
what 100%. I don't know if
Then turn off your
ever
computer and call.
downloaded something that
But that's exactly how. I mean, if what's the name of that? There are what are called antivirus products out there that are free.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
they're
for
malware.
phones.
They're
Little
malware.
apps. Yeah.
They're absolutely malware.
Right.
They come into your system. They usually involve adding 2 or 3 programs you didn't ask for that incapacitate or slow down or gather information on you while they're there.
Right.
And, oh, no, we don't do that. Okay, well, guess what? You do. I've seen them at trade shows, and they go, well, why don't you want to sell our product? Because your product sucks. Malware. I had a client who owns a company, and he's in his late 80s and very set in his ways, and he called me while his employee was out of town and said, hey, my system's really slow, and I can't print, and I can't do this. And he had accidentally installed multiple products that were just crashing his computer, and they did it so badly we had to reload the system from scratch in order for him to get a printer to work. And it was just really bad. And I got a text a couple of days later saying, well, I want to use this backup called Carbonite. My dad does. And I said, okay. He goes, you don't think it's bad? I said, it's a backup software. It's got all the downsides and the upsides to backup. You should always back up at least 3 different ways every day, all your data. And if that's a tool that works for him, then it works for him and he should use it. And just, it's going to slow things down because it slows things down.
Yeah.
Because it's doing something. But everybody uses different computers and different tools and different software, and whatever works for you works for you.
Yeah.
I had a client who was on PCs for decades, and the organization he works for finally said, hey, you can have a Mac. And his system died, and he came to me and he said, well, and I took him over to Micro Center, which is where I take most people because it's the largest available resource for hardware. And no, I don't get a plug.
Oh, we like them too. We've been
No,
there many times.
every one of their salespeople knows me by sight. So, but I took him over and I showed him the difference between the Mac and the PC. And you have a Mac, he has a PC, and the differences in battery life alone are incredible. So your MacBook could make 8 to 10 hours of active running. You just close the lid, go away, pick it up, work on it for 2 hours, close it, go away, work on it. His would be dead after an hour and a half, closed or open.
It's about, working on it, it's about 3. So it works throughout my entire morning show.
Brand new.
It's about a year old.
And you
Something
have
like
a
that.
very good battery because 90% of all notebooks last about an hour and a half.
And then I had
took
an
out
old one. I
CDs,
just
that
replaced the
helped.
battery. So yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And you
So-
can do that. Batteries in most notebooks, not Macs, but in most notebooks are about $40, $30
exactly.
through Amazon.
Yeah.
You really should open the case up beforehand to know which battery you're buying because there's like 8 variations of every battery.
Definitely. Yep. Exactly.
So
I've been
much
in
so.
that room before.
Yeah.
Yep.
One other question, because I want to make people aware, because this has come up many times in the last month, more than I've actually heard about it, other than holidays. People get scammed all the time around holidays, but lately they're increasing and they're getting a little more creative. Are there certain things that you've seen lately that you can tell people, yes, this is a scam?
The same rule applies that has applied for the last 50 years.
If you don't know them.
Delete it. If you think in any way, shape, or form this could be anything weird, delete it. If anything asks you to type in your password or to sign on directly through the email or through the website, delete it.
Right.
Don't do it because that's how
Yeah.
attacks come into your system.
Yeah.
You save a password, you go in and you don't have multi-factor authentication or you don't have now a passphrase. Lots of different ways in which to secure your stuff. Lots of businesses out there. In my industry, there's 2 basic platforms for email, Microsoft and Google. Again, every geek has a preference. I'm a security nut, so anything
good.
Google is terrible. Period.
Yeah.
There is no benefit that you can add to it that allows you a level of security or encryption of the data that a 10-year-old with access to the dark web can't steal your stuff. The financial industry, when you close on your house, that industry gets hacked thousands of times a day. They get more email saying, hey, send us the money to this modified ACH account. And it is all, I would give it a 95% is my estimation only, that all of these hacks come through real estate agents' Gmail's accounts. Because, hey, it's free.
Right.
And poll real estate agents. Is your account through Gmail? Yeah. Why? Well, it's free.
Right.
Right. And free is always better for security.
Oh, of course. It's just
That's
like you were talking
interesting.
about the antivirus. Hey, if it's free, then it's good.
Yeah.
So put it on your phone. Yeah.
No, it's good for them. Yeah.
I never thought about that side of it before, because I always thought when I'm closing on a house, man, are they secure. It's like, you're going to wire funds, and they're like, how are you doing it? Where is it coming from? We need to call. We need to verify. And I've never thought about them getting hacked on the real estate side.
Billions of
things.
dollars a year they lose.
And
They are not the
that's
ones who
so
lose
sad.
it. The homeowners are the ones who use it.
Wow.
Because, you know,
Yeah.
that's why you have to buy insurance when
Yeah.
you close on a house or sell a house. You have to have title insurance because that's
Yeah.
what it. But even those rates are going through the roof. I know I have title companies for clients who are basically out of business due to that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just Google uses a type of mail that was designed in the early 60s and was broken about a week and a half later. And it's free. It's public domain, and that's why they use it, because it doesn't cost them anything. It's a good bean counter. Microsoft costs money. It's encrypted in the cloud. If you want to encrypt from end to end, you can, but you have to choose products that go along with it to do that. Can you do that with Google? Yes, if you buy the intended products, but you've left open a major path to stealing all your data.
Right.
And it's a personal platform that they decided, oh well, let's pile all these things on top of sand and wonder why everything slips.
I think my personal trying to hack email is, I'm a prince in India. Can you please send me $15 million and I will
Is that
send
your
you
cousin?
back? Probably.
Yeah,
I saw that a lot in the financial industry. I've actually
I
had
personally
clients.
like the one
yeah.
that says, "This is your aunt." You know, I'm stuck in Bahrain.
Well, it is, and I feel, with that being said, I mean, you start to see him a lot, but like the elder abuse is really
Elder abuse
real. It's
and
horrible. They
kids
get
are
the
terrible.
call that their grandkids are locked up in some jail, and you have to wire money, and it is. They play so much on the fear and the emotional side.
Well,
It's
that's
terrible.
all. That's all it ever is.
That's
Right.
true.
It's
Yeah.
fear of being hacked and hacking through fear.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, humanity has very few thought processes. I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm mad, I'm glad, I'm afraid, and all the variants of those things. And fear is why the insurance industry exists. It's why firewalls exist. It's why antivirus exists, because you have a right to be fearful of people trying to
Right.
attack you, hammer you, do whatever.
Right.
But, you know,
I agree. And I'm glad you brought up the link part, because there are so many times I get an email with a link inside of it or a text message, and it's to delete it. And absolutely don't click on it. I
no,
think
delete
we're.
the email.
Well,
Don't
yeah.
just delete the link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Delete the entire thing.
But I mean, we provide services for both devices and technology to reduce almost to, I can never say completely, but to reduce drastically spam and phishing attacks. We sell a portable firewall for devices, and they're not cheap. I've never and never will make a statement that what I do is inexpensive. It's not. And, you know, but it is a cost of doing business.
Right.
In your experience and expertise, are most hacks and scams done through email?
Half.
Half of them?
Yeah, the
Okay.
other half are, they attack a website, they make changes to a website that's a valid website, and you click somewhere and then you end up with a whooping siren screen, or you click on a link in a Google search or any of these kinds of things, and you find out that you've been attacked. And, you know, they say things like, oh, don't turn off your computer, don't call anybody, don't just call us. And, you know, you should unplug your computer.
Is simply opening an email, can that leave you vulnerable? Just simply
Can.
opening an email,
Yeah,
not a
it can.
link or
In
anything
some
like
cases,
that.
Yes.
In some cases,
Yeah,
it can.
if you don't put protections in place in advance, yes.
Okay. How is that? How is that possible? Where just opening an email? I understand clicking links.
So what program do you use for email?
Outlook.
Okay, so do you use the preview feature?
No.
Okay, so you don't see the email, the content of the email on the side of on the site.
Correct. Before I open it.
Yeah. So that preview alone, you can have access. when you same
So
thing.
if you have it on the preview, then it's opening it all.
Possible.
Okay.
It's
okay.
opening some content.
Right. Gotcha.
Everything you access on the internet comes down to your computer. Doesn't matter what it is. It all comes to your computer, and it all fills it up, and it all makes it slower. And the misnomer that if I delete all this excess data, somehow my computer is going to go faster is also a misnomer.
Right.
It doesn't work.
Right.
But I have people who do it all the time. Well, I deleted all those data, and now it doesn't. Now it won't work at all. Because you deleted the wrong things.
Well, I know obviously we're physically in Colorado, and you
are.
will drive. We are.
We
Thank
are?
you.
At least I am.
It has. I don't know where I am most days. To be fair, yeah, it's
hot as hell.
It is. Yeah, the brain has
I
stopped
love the
functioning.
heat. Absolutely love the
You
heat.
do.
Really?
Oh,
Oh, man.
I
that's-
sit on my bike, 100 degree, 110, 115, on my bike going down the road, having a great time.
You're nuts.
Good for
I am
you.
nuts.
Wow. I
Love
feel
the heat.
Okay. Nice. Okay, so we are physically in Colorado, and I know sometimes you will drive to other states that are pretty close.
Everywhere. We'll drive anywhere. I don't care if it's close or not.
Would you drive to New York?
Absolutely. I've driven to New York.
Wow.
We
Okay.
do managed support for a client in Australia, and
You drove to Australia?
I wish that would take the Mach 5.
Nice.
That would
So you
take,
fit. You
that would
did.
take Speed Racer's car.
Nice.
no,
Did you really physically go to Australia? This wasn't an over the phone.
Oh no, it wasn't over the phone.
Okay.
But they have clients in New York, and we're looking at setting up either an office or resources from here to there for so many days a week. We all have to work out what's beneficial cost, right?
Okay.
But yeah, we're
Nice.
certainly able and capable. We've traveled cross country. I think Michigan was the furthest I've traveled for business
Okay.
to put something up. Maybe
Nice.
California, Chicago.
Okay.
So
Well, I know people that are listening have been hacked and are getting
Everybody.
these. I mean,
All
it's
day
true.
long,
We
every
went
day.
to a
Yeah.
party like 3 days ago over at a neighbor's house, and that's the majority of the conversation was all of these people in Florida are getting hacked. If they need money, it's I'm a wealthy individual who wants to date you type of thing. But it's again, it's I think they
Hey, great,
play
pay my
on-
bills.
I-
Once you paid all my bills off, then I'll date you.
And then I'll date you. I love it. So get me debt free.
Rob Finneran's watching.
Nice.
He just
See,
texted
there
me.
you go. Thank you, Bob. Thank you for watching. This is
Rob.
the guy from Rob. I'm sorry, from California.
Yeah.
Well, hi to California.
Hey, Rob, how you
I
doing,
love
buddy?
it. Thank you for tuning in.
I'm sure
we
it's
have this
cooler
expert
there right now.
Stop
I
it.
don't think
I
so.
know
It's just moisture.
it. Moisture in California,
That's kinda how I
probably.
want
We
it.
are definitely drier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no matter where you are, which is amazing,
Yeah.
you can call Brett. Okay. One more time: 720-464-2295. IT1 service. Truly. Anything with your gadgets. This can be your phone, your iPad, even probably your TV, and your computer.
And that's actually true. Some of the TVs have the ability, have a camera in them.
yeah.
And they're hidden. They're not. They're there for whatever their the manufacturer's reasons are. They're not like you can access them,
Okay.
but they are able to be accessed if the firmware in your TV is not updated consistently,
Okay.
or if you're not behind a firewall,
I,
even
I
at home.
put tape on it. It creeps me out.
If you could find it,
If you could find it
not
on a
necessarily.
TV.
It's a hidden camera. It's
I
not like
put
dead center.
tape
like the
all
others.
over my TV,
Yeah,
every
that-
inch.
Yeah.
And I have this little doodad now, which is lovely.
Yep.
No peeping toms over here.
Yep. Rob says we can call him if we'd like.
I love. Okay, Rob. Well, we need to get you on for next time. That
There
will
you
be
go.
your next
All
guest.
right,
Yes,
Rob
I
will
like
plug it. We're getting him on.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, the other thing I want to give you due credit for is you've had more than 40 years of experience,
More than yes.
which is I know. I love that even on your website it's 40 plus years.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
because a lot of these guys are fly by night. Am I allowed to say that without being too critical?
What, people in the industry?
Yeah.
No, I don't think they're fly by night. Fly by night makes an assumption that they came in and then went shit and they left.
I think there are people that don't know as much as you.
I would agree with that. But on the other note, I think there are people who know much more than me.
Oh, that's
And
great. Look at you.
I work with them constantly.
Okay.
Some don't like me because they know so much more than me that I'm just an idiot. over the years. Oh, yeah.
You're the smartest guy that I've talked to. It's definitely the most
So
experience.
sometime I will see if Tyler will come in with me. Tyler's a younger man by like 25 years than me. And he is an ultimate brain. He's my go-to. I had some issues with Cisco that I've been working on, my tech's been working on. We've been working on it with Cisco 4 months. And everybody just goes, oh, no, I can't fix it. And taken care of in a couple hours.
Nice.
He's my fallback because he takes the time to learn the products, and then he gets to work with them. But there are a lot of people in the industry who, I met a guy who bought an IT company. He bought 25 clients worth of an IT company for 25 grand, and I said, "Oh, cool. How many clients do you have?" He said, 25. So, okay. How many more do you bring aboard every month? Oh, 1 or 2, maybe.
Yeah.
That's not going to last you very long, and you're going to have to charge your other company a lot of money.
Hi, Rob.
No, that was him calling me on my other line.
Nice. Love it. Rob, we'll get you on, I promise. It is good to know that you can have other experts to rely on.
Absolutely. This is an industry of
Rob, leave him alone.
of many people.
He needs money.
Who are incredibly capable. I belong to chambers of commerce. I belong to some BNI groups through my company, and what I have found is that people who are in the industry, some groups require only one person in a certain industry or one person in a certain specialty.
Right.
And I belong to groups that are in both. And we have a gentleman who's in the same industry. He specifies in the accounting and that end of the industry. But he came to join the group, and I shook his hand and said, "Hey, you should come join because everybody works together. It's all about teamwork."
Nice.
So.
Right.
No, I love that. A lot of collaboration. Because no one person can know it all.
Exactly.
Except me.
I don't know.
I'm
my
an 8 on my
stepfather
Enneagram.
knew it all. He never used it to the perfect benefit, but he was an utter brain.
Nice.
Utter brain. He's the guy who did the New York Times crossword puzzle in pen in under 5 minutes.
Wow.
He's the guy who wrote letters to the editor that they all rushed to publish. Just right off the bat.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, he was a frickin' brain.
I can't do one of the crossword puzzles.
I can't do the jumbles. Okay, I can't do the jumbles where I got to figure out a word based on a picture.
I'm working on Candy Crush. Does that count?
I don't know. I've never played it.
It's awesome.
I've seen it.
Don't tell me it's not safe because I'm still gonna play it.
Apps are
probably
apps.
not.
I would always suggest putting a firewall. People on a phone or on a device, they consider it a VPN. But the greater majority of the VPNs that are sold out there is just trading one threat for another.
Yeah.
So if you buy these threats out of, Yoda, ExpressVPN or a bunch of different ones that are out there, that's just the one I remember off the top of my head. You don't know who the company is. You don't know where their servers are. You don't know any of that. You have no knowledge of where your data is going, and it's just a choice of how the data is routed. People use VPNs when they travel so that they can watch TV and the computer thinks it's in Colorado.
Right.
Or in New York or wherever it is.
Right.
I used to use a phone service that was and internet so that my mother could watch live TV in Mexico that you couldn't watch if you didn't do that.
Right.
So lots of different reasons for it, but we choose to use portable firewalls in devices based on the companies that manage that data and that we can guarantee, or as much as possible to guarantee, the security of that information and the pathways.
And speaking about travel, I'm kind of glad that you brought that up. So,
Me too.
Where
are we going?
I don't know. Let's get out of
I
here.
agree.
It's too hot for me.
No, let's go to the Bahamas.
Actually, that
is
sounds
really
great.
hot.
Well, then you can jump in the water, so that's a little different.
That's true.
But we've had you on before, and you've always said don't use public access. Do not use a public access point. Now, if somebody...
With an appropriate firewall, you now can.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask you. If somebody does have to use, you're traveling, you have to use public access, what steps, even other than a firewall, should people take so that they can feel safer on a public access point?
A private secured firewall on your device, through me or through somebody else. You can bring a wireless access point that you can purchase from Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. I hate T-Mobile and Sprint, whatever.
And I love access points.
Yeah.
The mobile ones.
But they're $45 a month for unlimited access.
Yep.
And they work everywhere. Long as Verizon works, they work.
Exactly.
And that internet is coming from that device only when it's turned on. So if you have a TV and a computer and a phone, you can access those while you're traveling. But they have limitations as well in that they overheat fairly often, and you know, you put them in the fridge, they won't. But you know, generally they're on batteries, so you know, or they're on power, and they get hot. And so you're good for about an hour, hour and a half, and then it goes, I'm overheating.
Right.
You said when they're on, so even when I close this, it's still technically on.
No.
It goes off when I close it?
It goes to sleep.
Yeah.
And so that is technically
handles sleep
off?
better than that one. Your
So
Mac handles sleep better than the PC.
How about my phone? If it's just sitting beside me,
It depends on the security you've set up on your phone, whether
it goes to sleep.
If you lock it, if you lock it, if you make the screen blank or it goes blank, and you have to put in a code, then it's secured.
Okay.
At least some.
Okay.
It's not a viable device for access. Okay. But if you leave the mobile hotspot on your phone on, it will drain your battery dramatically.
Yeah.
And it opens up a point of access.
Okay.
Now, it depends what password you use. I mean, I use a fairly simple one because I only turn it on when I'm using it. Cars have internet access, but they're incredibly slow.
Right.
I have land down in Fort Garland, and they just put fiber into my property.
Oh, wow.
I was in seventh heaven. I was streaming. I was binging on Netflix.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great.
Well,
usually I have to download my movies to the tablet and then connect the tablet with a wire, to the HDMI port, and then I have to, if I want to get up and get something, I have to step over the cable and pause it on the thing, and
Oh, you see? Patience. That's amazing.
Yes, I am a patient.
Wow, you're way more patient than me. Nope, I won't even touch it. I'm like, someone just go figure it out. I want it on, off, and bunny ears. That's what I want. Make it simple.
The problem is then somebody walks out with actual bunny ears on their head.
That's fine too.
You ever see this?
I can sit like that.
I was watching a TV show, one that went off the air, Blue Bloods.
Blue Bloods. Oh, yeah.
And
Tom
they were
Selleck,
sitting
yeah.
at dinner talking about how the police had at one point would go in to interrogate somebody that they were going to beat up, and they'd put on bunny ears so that when the guy said, oh, he came in with bunny ears and beat me up, nobody'd believe him.
Right.
Nice. Okay.
And which they said, oh, no, it's just a rumor.
Ah.
Yeah, because,
Okay. I love it. Well, one thing
No, go for it.
I wanted to mention you do something a little different as far as when you charge people for your prices, which I really like that you do this.
Me too.
You buy them in blocks of time.
Correct.
And they never expire.
Correct.
Which I love because everyone at some point is going to need someone in IT.
Correct. We also, after the first hour on site, we bill in 15-minute increments, and all remote services are 15-minute increments on the blocks. So we have 4 rates. Our 115 hours, our standard rate, which we will happily charge anybody who wants to just have us do work. We offer a 10-hour block at 125 an hour, a 20-hour block at 100, and a 50-hour block at 90. All nonprofits get the 15-hour rate, or the 90-hour rate rather, at 5 hours or more, just because nonprofits don't ever really survive well money-wise. They're always grabbing for cash.
Right.
So we try to be of service. But a 10-hour block could effectively last you what other people would bill you 20 hours for. because instead of being billed, I take a phone call, I handle the problem, it's 15 minutes. Most companies will bill an hour for that.
Yeah.
And we
Like a
will
lawyer.
bill 15 minutes.
Right.
Had another client call today, or I talked to her today, and she said, well, I wasn't going to bug you on Sunday because I hadn't bought a block. And I said, well, follow my 2 rules, and don't worry about the block, buy it afterwards. Don't worry about it. But she, my 2 rules are simple. Breathe. Because every time...
Rob, your time will come, buddy.
Hey, Robbie.
and harassing me no less. Every time technology fails us, or anything fails us, you hold your breath, you stress, and you don't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
So
Feel like
breathe.
throwing your laptop across the room. And
Not even that. I mean, you're frustrated.
Right.
And you stop breathing, you tense up, and everything becomes worse at a rising rate.
Right.
The second one is call me before you get frustrated, because humanity, males mostly, though some females, have the inherent thought process of, I got this, I can fix this. Doesn't matter if it's in your bailiwick, you know anything about it. The perfect one is the guy who could not pump gas on the side of the road, opening the hood and looking at the engine like he's going to fix something. But it's the same thing with technology. People spend anywhere from minutes to days working on stuff, trying to figure it out. Well, I'll just Google it.
Right.
That's going to help you.
Exactly.
Everything on the internet's accurate.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Especially now with AI, like combing through everything. There's been so many times I've searched something. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But, call me before you get frustrated, because it's worth it to say, hey, Brett, my Outlook program is not working correctly. Oh, click here, do this. This is so it's done that. As opposed to she spent 2 hours, she's an attorney, and she spent 2 hours of her time that was not billable for her trying to figure this out on a Sunday because she wouldn't call me.
Right.
And you should always call. Always ask for help. That is the hardest lesson, I think men, but probably everybody, has to learn. You got to be able to ask for help. I ask for help all the time.
And I love, we had you in a while ago, and you said one of the biggest things, reboot it. Turn it off, power it on again.
One time. Rebooting it 4 times will not
Well, yeah,
make
exactly.
the problem go. But
Yeah.
that's a common
That's
thing.
a common thing. Yeah.
Okay, I rebooted the computer and it didn't work, so I'm going to reboot it again and again and again.
Right.
And what's that line about?
Insanity.
Yeah.
Yeah. The same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that can resolve a lot of issues because programs lay on top of each other, use similar backup and base products in the system, and sometimes crash each other. And rebooting will usually resolve that. But rebooting 4, 5, 6 times does nothing other than frustrate you further.
Exactly. If it doesn't work the first time,
Right.
then yeah. And a question for you: how often do you think that you should power down? Just because I know somebody who always puts it to sleep, always keeps the windows open.
About a week. Restart your system. The reason being is that all files have cache, C-A-C-H-E cache.
Oh, I was hoping it was
I know, me
C-H-S-H.
too.
Man.
Me too.
And all of that cache clears out on a reboot. So it makes your browsers go slower. It makes all those things that run your system slower.
Right.
It's not that you have to reboot, but it's a good idea to give your system a cycle to clear that up. You don't have to turn it on, just recycle it, just reboot it.
Right.
But it's not a bad idea. Also, if somebody's, you've clicked the wrong place and somebody's loaded something resident, they've loaded something that's active in memory and copying keystrokes or whatever. It's not a program that runs. It's just something you effectively started. Then restarting that will make that go away. If it's not a program.
If it's not a program. Gotcha.
So
I'm really bad at that, to be honest.
what?
I usually have 30 tabs open all the time.
It just makes your browser slower. I had another client recently. It was, oh my God, this thing won't work. Absolutely will not work. And basically I removed that browser, cleared out every piece of attendant programming for that browser, reinstalled it. Oh, look, everything works. and it's, people think that, a program is inherently better or worse because of the manufacturer. It's not. Google Chrome, DuckDuckGo, Edge, Safari,
Chrome,
Netscape,
Firefox.
Internet Explorer.
Yep.
They all perform the same function. Do some of them do it better or worse? It's really who designs whatever you're accessing to be used by.
That's literally, I have Safari, Firefox, and Chrome all open as we speak, because some websites will not load on Safari. And so I'll have to go on to a Chrome.
Download Edge. You'll enjoy it.
And I think I've might have tried that, but so Edge is across the board.
Works on everything, and
Okay.
I prefer it.
Okay.
I don't.
That's
prefer
Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't prefer anything Google. And like I said, every geek has a reason and a position and an opinion, and they're all as valid or invalid as tomorrow,
Right.
or yesterday. I don't like the products. I find it used to be that SEO was a useful sales tool, marketing tool,
Yeah.
and it's not anymore, and it's specifically because of Google.
Mm-hmm.
They literally just said, we're just going to sell that space that you're trying through SEO to be in the top 3, top 5.
Yeah.
You can never, again, be in the top 3, top 5 unless you pay for an ad
Right.
in the top
Sponsored
3.
by it, exactly. Mm-hmm.
No, you have to pay
Right.
thousands of dollars a month. Thousands.
Which is funny because a lot of SEO companies, you pay hundreds, if not $1,000 a month for their services that
Google
take
charges $2,000 a month.
$2,000 a month.
Well, they tried to charge me that. I don't know the current deal. They tried to charge me that, and I just kind of, I couldn't stop laughing at the guy, and he was almost the guy who went, "Stop laughing at me!"
It is expensive. I went through that back, this was 20 years ago.
Yeah. But
And
as
it
of about
is
3 years ago, they don't
very
do it.
expensive.
SEO is useless now, utterly useless.
Yeah.
Right.
And I had a friend of mine who changed entire what he did for a living, just because the industry became such that he couldn't make any money at it, and wanted to, be able to spend more time with his wife and kids, and so he's a day trader now.
Yeah.
And my only request was, so you've done that before? Oh yeah, I'm learning. Okay. Okay.
Well, it's something new, a new journey.
Every day, in every way, by everybody.
Yeah.
You wake up. Today is what do they say? The first day of the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, if I wake up on the right side of the dirt, I'm doing something right.
I
Right.
love it. It is true. I know you don't want to get into AI, but man, that has
I'll be
shifted.
happy to get into AI. I don't like it. I don't like AI because it makes people lazy. People use AI, ChatGPT, and all these other things. Every advertising that I've seen for all these products is, I was stupid and partied last night. I didn't prepare for the meeting. I'm going to just select these 3 paragraphs of data from something, and it's going to miraculously create a PowerPoint presentation that looks fantastic and gets me the next job.
Right.
And none of that is real. And it's all, how about the court cases where, the lawyers thought, oh, well, I'll just do this. And then when they got caught, they went, well, I didn't do it. The AI support, it was pushing out cases that didn't exist. It just made shit up. I was at a Douglas County thing, and there was a speaker, and he was touting AI as the God's gift to email management. And, I sat there silently, which is rare for me, and I thought, oh, so you just don't want to do your job.
Right.
Because your job is to review the emails, crap or otherwise, manually delete them if they're crap, but take the time to look at them.
Right.
Determine if they're crap and go. You
Right.
have a brain. That's what you're paid to do. And he, oh, this saves me hours a day. Yeah, because you're not looking at half of the product that you're supposed to be doing. That's not a cost savings or a benefit. That's a detriment. Hire a monkey. I don't have to do my job anymore. I'm incapable.
And if you
let
really-
a machine do it.
If you really want to know how AI would take care of that, and one thing that just absolutely irritates the absolute hell out of me is it used to be good where you could actually type with somebody live, how can I help you? What's going on? Now it's always an AI bot.
Right.
And it says, oh, this article might be helpful. This article, really? No.
And no, they're not.
Not at all.
All they ever do is piss everybody off.
Exactly. And
I have to tell you, and I really hope everybody who runs AT&T and Verizon and Xfinity, Comcast, is listening to this show, because your tech support sucks. And you need to hire people with more skin than paper. Because I am not the guy, and nobody else is that I know of, who's going to call and say, oh, please help me, you're an idiot, I really want your help.
Right.
Oh, God, I want to sit on the phone with you for 6 hours while you have me do nothing useful. I had a client who was down in Avon, and we're in Denver, and I called on Sunday, and the guy said, oh, well, the modem's messed up. I said, great, can you fix it? Yes. Okay. I said, please make sure you do not remove the static IP address block, because a lot of these guys are tier 1, and they do that, and then I have to undo that. And he said, I don't appreciate the way you're talking to me. And I said, I don't care. It's not my job to make you feel good. It's your job to fix my problem. Shut up. And if you want somebody to feel good, go get a dog. Go get a girlfriend. Go get a boyfriend. Go get a wall to stick something through. I don't care. But it's not my job to make you happy. It's not, I had an employee, after a year of doing nothing, 8 months, I said, do you have any other questions before we finish this? And she said, well, I just don't want you to be mad at me. And I'm like, you wasted $25,000 or $30,000 of my money and 8 months of my time. Who cares if I'm mad at you? Well, how does it enter into the conversation?
Right.
We have a society and people who are doing our tech support of people who have no knowledge, very little capability, and a sense of self that only their mothers appreciate, because they're special and they should be in charge of the world.
And the lack of knowledge is the biggest thing, because, they hire people and say, oh, anything that comes up, just type it in here and AI will tell you what to do.
Oh, no. They have scripts.
Or scripts, yes.
They literally, you get to pick from one of 20 questions. The reason they pause is because they're reading the questions they're allowed to click on to give you the answer that is preset.
That is the future of computers.
That has been for 20 years. Yeah. That has been tier 1.
Right.
Maybe 15 years ago, Microsoft shifted their support from internal to all these different third-party companies. And they stopped requiring the people to be certified in the products they support.
Wow.
I talked to a gal on Teams when Teams was just kind of starting. It's a communications product.
Oh, yeah, I know Teams, yeah.
And I asked the guy, I said, okay, so you're certified on Teams? She goes, uh-huh. I said, so you're certified on Teams. You hold a certification. You took the test. Well, no. We're trained on the screens. I said, but you don't understand how the program works. Well, sure I do. Okay, how does this work? Well, I don't know. So, Microsoft, as well as others, they've just gone to this cost-cutting, we'll do it the way, we possibly can to save every dime to make our profits higher and our support horrendous.
Yeah.
I will sit on the phone with a client. Yeah, I will sit on the phone with a client for 4 hours and to resolve the issue. It ever took that long. But, if I don't get resolution, or I'm not actively doing something for those 4 hours, then they don't get billed for that.
Right.
That's just not good business to me.
Right.
Yeah.
And people in my industry and who run the industries are just horrendous. And they, it's like, press this, press that, do this, do that, listen to this message, do that. Before, and you can hit 097 times, still doesn't get you to a person now.
Oh, no, not at all. They figured that out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know. Now I just call and tell them I'm the president of Xfinity of Comcast, and they go, what? Yeah, this is a test. and they just go, what? Say, you're being tested. Answer the question. What? I'm going to get my manager. Okay. You mean you have a manager and they exist?
No.
I mean, you don't have to get them on the phone in 3 hours and have them call me back.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Or my
sure you do.
favorite, they'll email you in the next 48 hours.
You know,
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
just lies.
It is.
It's not an inability to do the work by by the organizations. It's just a line of tactic because these people in the call centers or now working at home via the call centers, they get paid by completed call.
Yeah.
Right,
And no matter how that call ends up, that's how they get paid.
right.
They do not get any benefit from solving the issue or not solving the issue. They
Right.
only get benefit when you hang up.
Right.
Yeah. That's
Right.
great. What a wonderful world.
Oh, yeah?
I love it.
I was talking to, I think, Comcast. And no, it wasn't. It was Microsoft. And I was talking to the gal, and I said, look, I want to talk to your manager. And she started talking. I said, manager. And I did that every time she opened her mouth for an hour straight.
Oh my gosh.
And she couldn't hang up because I didn't cuss at her. And I didn't hang up.
Nice.
And I didn't yell at her. I just said manager every time she spoke.
Wow.
Okay. Mr. Manager, until she'd shut up. Wow. And after an hour, I said, Merry Christmas. Now you know what it's like to waste an hour of your existence getting nothing. And hung up. And it was all to please my own ego. It had nothing to do with reality. I did it just to waste an hour and screw with her.
Okay, well let's end on a high note.
Okay.
This might be a high note before we sign off.
Sure.
Where do you want to end?
I want to end that technology is a tool. Everybody uses them differently, and everybody uses different tools. They're all great. They're all bad. They're all whatever you need them to be.
Right. They're instruments.
Don't take anybody's position that this is better than that because I like it, or I think, or I whatever. If it's a tool and it
Rob, hang
no,
tight.
it wasn't Rob. If it's a tool and it works for you and it helps you perform your job, do your work, do your business, do your personal life, then it's an effective tool. And if I can be of service, I cherish the ability to be of service to clients. If you have a problem, if you know somebody who has a problem, I would love the ability to serve. I used to work for a company, and it was a very Christian-oriented company, still is. And I read a book called Servant Leader, very small book club. And I took that, part of that, out of that book and assigned it to my company when I went live. And I truly try to serve my clients' needs, not have their money serve me in some purpose by growth.
Right.
You know?
It is really great. I mean, we have, of course, all of our partners know you. His family uses you. I mean, it's been every time that we talk about
Not
IT
enough.
services. Not you hear that, Joan and Greg? Reach out to Brett. But every time they routinely say the same thing, that he really knows what he's talking about. It is across
I had
the board.
somebody call me, I'll tell you this last bit. Had somebody call me in Hilltop,
Yeah.
that an area?
Yeah.
Hilltop?
Hilltop. And he was in his 80s, and he called me and he said, you have a wonderful reputation here. And I went, okay. I don't even know where here is. Yeah, because I don't know all the names of the 17,000 areas of Denver, and or surrounding. And he said, I took my system in to go to into Best Buy, and they fixed it, and now it doesn't work, and it's been a day, and I don't understand. And I said, well, I can certainly come out and take care of this for you. And he said, okay, and we're booking a call. And I said, let's just do 5 minutes of basic troubleshooting just to see. He goes, okay. And I said, hit the power button. Does anything happen? He says, no. I said, okay. Is it a computer? Is it a desktop or a notebook? It's a desktop. Okay. Is it plugged in to the plug somewhere? Yes. Okay. Unplug it and plug it into a different outlet. Anywhere, any other outlet. And he says, all right, hold on, I got to get under the table. And I'm just imagining this 80-year-old gentleman, crawling under the desk. And he comes back up, and he's out of breath. And he says, okay, I plugged it into another thing on the power strip. I said, okay, push the power button. He goes, shit. My wife's going to kill me. I said, yeah, but you didn't have to pay the bill.
Yeah, that's true. And you know what? I have lived through that experience myself and know someone who
Everything
has.
fails.
Exactly. And
All
then you get
mechanical stuff
frustrated.
fails,
And I
no
agree.
non-mechanical stuff fails.
Of course, of course.
You
You
know?
expect stuff to work. That's why I want one button on off and just work all the time.
I
I know
have a
that's-
client who bought systems 25 years ago and is astounded that they're still not running perfectly just as fast as they did 25 years ago.
It should last forever. It should.
The words came out of her mouth.
Yeah.
And I had to not laugh in her face. And I just said, that's just not reality.
Yeah.
I said, 3 to 5 years maximum on technology and on computerized technology.
Yeah.
If you get more than that, you're cruising.
Exactly.
Or you got an Apple battery. One of the two. But you can't expect more out of it because it just doesn't exist.
Right.
That was ending on a high note.
Right,
Everyone get
exactly.
an Apple computer. That's from me, not from Brett.
I own 3 Apples. I think Apples are great.
I
I think
love
PCs are great. I think servers and workstations in the cloud are great. You just have to find the tools that work for you,
Yeah.
that support you and make you more profitable, capable, and beneficial.
Nice.
I
Well,
like
Brett,
it.
we always love having you in. You're
Me
very
too.
straightforward and very educational, which is all good things.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
No, they are.
It's very good.
They all. It is a very good thing.
I'll have to see what Rob said.
Okay. Well, and next time you're going to have a guest on, so
I will-
we will
I will
look
get
forward
Rob.
to
We'll
that
put
with
him on a
Robert
Teams call.
or
All
Teddy.
right.
Huh?
Or Teddy, was that the other gentleman?
Teddy.
No,
Teddy.
am I just making stuff up?
I think
cool.
you are.
Sounds great.
I think that was a movie.
I know. As we
Good
have
movie.
Ted sitting over there, maybe that's in my subconscious. The other expert that you had mentioned,
Oh, Tyler.
Tyler. I got the T
I will
right.
talk to Tyler to see
Okay.
if he'd like to do it.
Nice.
He's very soft spoken. He's not as
Okay. Well, you guys would balance each other out. That'd be a good thing.
yeah, he'll answer the questions. I'll go, so what's the answer? And he'll go into it.
I love it. Okay. Well, those of you listening, again, go to it1service.com and it is the number 1. Or you can call Brett and he can help you anywhere in the world, which I
Yep.
really love. Anywhere in the United States, anywhere in the world, even Australia. And yes,
and if you are a single woman in China, please don't call me.
sounds good. Okay. From your lips, not mine. 720-464-2295. Truly anything that can plug in or that has batteries. So if you have a computer or a laptop or your TV with all these wonderful cameras going on. And I know that all of this hacking and spamming and scamming has been going on. Get someone to help you. Don't get frustrated. Take a breath and call someone that's the expert. So
That's
that
right.
is Brett with IT1 Services. 720-464-2295.
Well, thank you very much for listening to this interview, and we're definitely going to have Brett in again in another month to have another wonderful discussion. Just absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for coming in, Brett.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure. Do stay on because in about 20 minutes or so, we have one solid hour of only Colorado artists. It's just a melting pot of all different genres every single day from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then also make sure to catch another Kind of Vague Radio hosted by Andrew Talent and Rob Dixon tonight, 9 p.m. That's Monday through Friday. Owner of IT1 Services, Brett Minzer, thanks again. And everybody have a wonderful rest of the day. You guys take care.